Get your hands off me. Gloria Bennett's voice shook, not from fear, but from the force of Officer Ryan Keller dragging her across the marble floor by the arm in front of 200 staring guests. Her cane clattered away beside the registration table. The sound echoed through the Civic Hall louder than the jazz music playing near the stage. Conversations died instantly. Champagne glasses froze halfway to lips. Phones slowly lifted into the air. Ryan tightened his grip anyway. You were told twice, he snapped. This is a private event. Gloria stumbled trying to steady herself. 72 years old. Deep brown skin. Small frame wrapped in a faded navy coat that looked painfully out of place among designer dresses and tailored tuxedos. Her old leather purse hung crooked from one shoulder. The gold invitation she had tried to show him moments earlier was now bent in half on the floor near his polished boot. Young man, Gloria said quietly, fighting for breath, I already explained why I am here. Ryan laughed sharply. Everybody says that. A few uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the lobby from guests who wanted to stay on the safe side of authority. A giant banner hung above the ballroom entrance behind them. City Police Charity Gala. Honoring Chief Marcus Bennett. Gloria's eyes lifted toward the banner for half a second before Ryan yanked her again. Harder this time. Do not look at me like I am the bad guy, he said loudly. You tried sneaking into a restricted event. She showed an invitation, an older woman near the registration desk said carefully. Ryan turned instantly. Ma'am, unless you want security escorting you out too, stay out of police business. Silence swallowed the room again. The older woman lowered her eyes immediately. Tiny hope crushed in public view. Gloria bent slowly to reach for her cane, but Ryan stepped on it accidentally while pulling her forward. The wooden handle cracked against the marble edge of a planter. Several guests flinched at the sound. Nobody moved. What does it say about people when fear of authority becomes stronger than basic decency? Gloria finally looked directly at Ryan. Calm. Tired. Dignified. You are embarrassing yourself, she said softly. Ryan smirked. No. I am protecting this department. He grabbed her purse suddenly. What do we even have in here? Gloria's hand trembled for the first time. Not because of the purse itself. Because of what was inside. Give that back. Ryan ignored her and dumped the contents across the registration counter. Pill bottle. Folded handkerchief. Reading glasses. A worn family photograph slid halfway out before landing face down beside the shattered invitation. The room watched in complete silence now. Public humiliation had become entertainment. Gloria slowly reached toward the photograph instinctively, but Ryan pushed her hand away. Do not touch anything. His body cam blinked red against his uniform chest beneath the ballroom lights. Sergeant Elaine Porter stepped closer from the security checkpoint nearby. Older. More experienced. Less eager to perform power in public. Ryan, she said low enough to avoid a scene, maybe let me handle this. Ryan scoffed immediately. Handle what? Trespassing. Gloria looked toward Elaine briefly. Something passed across the older sergeant's face for one strange second. Recognition maybe. Or confusion. Gloria's posture. Her voice. The way she carried herself under pressure. Not ordinary. Then Ryan picked up the folded invitation card from the counter. This fake little card, he mocked. He opened it carelessly. His expression flickered for half a second before disappearing again. Cute. Read the name, Gloria said quietly. Ryan looked at her. You think printing a name makes you important? He shoved the card back down without showing anyone. Elaine frowned slightly at that. Another tiny crack in the moment. Sir, a young valet near the door whispered nervously, I think I saw her arrive earlier with. Ryan cut him off instantly. You think wrong. The valet stepped backward immediately. Another witness silenced. Gloria's breathing had grown heavier now. The hall lights reflected against the moisture gathering in her eyes, but she refused to cry. Not here. Not in front of strangers recording her worst moment like a viral clip waiting to happen. Ryan leaned closer toward her. People like you always think rules do not apply. Gloria's jaw tightened slightly. And people like you forget uniforms belong to the public. That landed harder than shouting. Several guests exchanged looks immediately. Elaine's eyes shifted toward Ryan's still recording body cam. Ryan noticed too. His confidence cracked for only a fraction of a second before anger rushed back in to cover it. That is enough, he barked. You are leaving now. He grabbed Gloria by the elbow again and started dragging her toward the front entrance. Her shoes scraped against the marble. The cracked cane remained abandoned behind them. The family photograph still sat face down on the counter. Near the doors, a local reporter quietly raised his phone higher to capture the scene. Outside, flashing police lights reflected against the civic hall windows. Inside, nobody stepped forward to stop what was happening. Then, just before Ryan shoved Gloria through the front doors, a sharp voice crackled through his radio. All units stand by. Chief Bennett arriving on site now. Ryan froze for half a heartbeat. Across the lobby, Sergeant Elaine Porter slowly turned her eyes toward the face-down photograph still lying on the counter. The civic hall doors slammed shut behind Gloria Bennett with a heavy metallic sound that seemed to follow her all the way down the courthouse steps. Inside, muffled jazz music started again like nothing had happened. Outside, cold evening wind moved through the city flags above the entrance while people near the valet line whispered and stared openly at her. Some still held phones pointed in her direction. Gloria tightened both hands around the strap of her old leather purse to stop them from shaking. Not from fear. From humiliation. Her cracked cane scraped unevenly against the sidewalk now. One side splintered where Officer Ryan Keller stepped on it. Across the glass doors behind her, she could still hear his voice echoing in her head. People like you always think rules do not apply. Gloria paused beside a stone planter near the curb and slowly bent down to retrieve the bent invitation card Ryan shoved back at her earlier. The gold seal across the corner had been creased nearly in half. She smoothed it carefully with trembling fingers anyway. Some wounds are not about paper. They are about dignity. Nearby, a young valet hesitated beside her for several seconds before quietly stepping closer. Ma'am, Gloria looked up gently. The boy could not have been older than 19. Nervous eyes. Cheap black uniform jacket slightly too large at the shoulders. I am sorry about what happened. Gloria gave him a tired smile. Thank you for saying that. The boy glanced nervously toward the doors behind him. Officer Keller, he does this sometimes. Tiny hope flickered for half a second. Then the doors opened again behind them. Ryan stepped outside adjusting his gloves. The valet instantly backed away like fear physically pulled him backward. Ryan noticed immediately. You still here? He snapped toward Gloria. Event is private. Sidewalk is public. Learn the difference. Gloria held his gaze calmly. I taught civics for 33 years, officer. I know the difference. Ryan smirked. Then maybe you should teach yourself when you are not welcome. He walked away before she could answer, radio crackling at his shoulder. Power always leaves fastest after humiliation. Gloria stood alone again beneath the courthouse lights. A black SUV pulled past the corner nearby escorted by 2 police motorcycles. People near the entrance suddenly straightened themselves. The chief was arriving. Gloria lowered her eyes instead of looking toward the vehicle. Then she quietly turned away from the gala and started walking down the block. 20 minutes later, she climbed the narrow stairs to a small second-floor apartment above a laundromat 3 streets away. The hallway smelled faintly of detergent and old pipes. Inside, the apartment was warm but painfully modest. Faded couch. Stack of unpaid utility bills near the lamp. Prescription bottles lined carefully beside the sink. A small framed photograph of a younger Marcus Bennett in his first academy uniform sat beside a worn Bible on the kitchen table. Gloria set the damaged invitation beside the frame and slowly removed her shoes. Her feet ached badly now. She lowered herself into a chair carefully and reached for the old family photograph Ryan dumped onto the registration counter earlier. The corner had bent slightly. In the picture, Marcus stood beside his late father at 16 years old, smiling in a borrowed suit after winning a city scholarship. Gloria traced the edge of the photo silently. "Your father would have hated today," she whispered. The apartment remained quiet except for the ticking kitchen clock and distant sirens outside. Then her phone buzzed suddenly on the table. Marcus calling. Gloria stared at the screen for a long moment before answering. "Mama?" His voice sounded rushed. Concerned. "You already left the gala." Gloria forced steadiness into her voice. Traffic looked busy downtown. Silence on the line for one brief second. Did something happen? Gloria looked toward the bruised mark forming on her wrist where Ryan grabbed her. "Nothing worth ruining your night." Another silence. Longer this time. Marcus knew her too well. "Mama," before he could continue, another call interrupted through the line. Police dispatch tone. Marcus exhaled quietly. "I have to go inside. We will talk after the ceremony." "Of course. You are still coming later?" Gloria glanced toward the bent invitation on the table. "Maybe." After the call ended, she sat motionless for several seconds. Then she carefully opened her purse and pulled out a small silver brooch shaped like an eagle crest. Old. Scratched. Police memorial engraving on the back. Her late husband's. She pinned it slowly back onto her coat with practiced hands. If you have ever been judged by your clothes, your age, your skin, or the neighborhood you came from, you already know how quiet humiliation can feel after the crowd disappears. A sudden knock interrupted the silence. Gloria looked toward the door cautiously. Outside stood Sergeant Elaine Porter from the gala, still in uniform, holding Gloria's broken cane in one hand. "Ma'am," Elaine said softly through the doorway, "I think Officer Keller made a serious mistake tonight." Gloria's eyes narrowed slightly. Then Elaine glanced down the hallway before lowering her voice even further. "And I do not think he realizes what was still inside your purse when he searched it." Sergeant Elaine Porter stood quietly outside Gloria Bennett's apartment door holding the broken cane like evidence from a crime scene nobody wanted to admit had happened. Rain tapped softly against the hallway window behind her. Gloria opened the door wider without speaking. Elaine stepped inside slowly, immediately noticing the smallness of the apartment. Old couch carefully repaired along one armrest. Utility bills stacked beneath a lamp. Prescription bottles lined beside a chipped coffee mug. A folded church bulletin resting near the family photograph on the table. The world treated Gloria like she was invisible. But somebody invisible does not usually carry themselves with that kind of calm under humiliation. Elaine set the damaged cane gently against the kitchen wall. "I should not be here," she admitted quietly. Gloria removed her coat slowly. "Then why are you?" Elaine hesitated. "Because Officer Keller dumped your purse out in front of half the city." Her eyes shifted toward the old family photograph still resting beside the bent invitation. Young Marcus in academy uniform. Gloria standing beside him with pride written across her face. Elaine frowned slightly. "I think Ryan missed something important tonight." Gloria did not answer immediately. Instead, she walked carefully to the stove and reheated leftover soup in a small pot. Even now, after public humiliation, after being dragged across marble floors in front of cameras, she still moved with dignity. No shouting. No collapse. Just quiet survival. Most people miss important things, Gloria finally said softly. Downtown, inside the Civic Hall security office, Ryan Keller leaned against a desk scrolling through social media clips already spreading online. Grainy phone footage showed him dragging Gloria across the entrance lobby while guests whispered in the background. Comments moved faster every second. Some defended him automatically. Others questioned the force used against an elderly woman. Ryan scoffed and locked the phone screen. People always want to play hero after the fact. One younger officer nearby looked uncomfortable. The optics are bad. Ryan snapped back instantly. Optics do not matter. Control matters. His body cam sat connected to the upload station nearby. Red processing light blinking steadily. Sergeant Porter's voice echoed in his head again. You should have let me handle it. Ryan grabbed the footage tablet and started reviewing the clip himself. Fast movements. Gloria resisting his pull slightly because of the cane. Guests recording. Then one strange detail made him pause. Right before he dumped Gloria's purse, she quietly looked at his body cam and said, "Make sure that stays on." Ryan frowned. Most civilians begged cameras to stop recording. Gloria wanted the footage preserved. Tiny clue. Tiny crack in certainty. Back at the apartment, Gloria carried 2 bowls of soup to the small table. Elaine watched the older woman's hands carefully. Even trembling slightly from pain, Gloria folded the napkin neatly before sitting down. Discipline. Habit. Grace under pressure. You said Ryan missed something, Gloria said calmly. Elaine reached into her jacket pocket and carefully pulled out the folded invitation card Ryan bent earlier. This was still at the registration desk. Gloria looked at the crease across the gold seal but said nothing. Elaine sat forward slightly. The event coordinator tried checking the guest list after you left. Gloria's eyes lifted quietly. And? Elaine hesitated. The system locked him out. Silence. Small. Heavy. The kind that leaves questions hanging in the air. Gloria lowered her eyes back toward the soup. Technology fails sometimes. Not like this. Another silence followed. Then a television from the neighboring apartment suddenly carried muffled news audio through the wall. Viral confrontation outside tonight's police charity gala. Elaine looked uncomfortable instantly. Gloria kept eating slowly. If humiliation becomes entertainment online, how many people stop remembering there is a real human being inside the video? A sudden knock interrupted the moment again. This time harder. More urgent. Elaine opened the door carefully. The young valet from the gala stood outside soaked from rain, breathing fast. "Ma'am," he whispered toward Gloria, "I think somebody is trying to delete the security footage from the lobby." Elaine's expression hardened instantly. "Who told you that?" "I overheard 2 officers talking downstairs." Gloria slowly placed her spoon down beside the bowl. Tiny hope flickered again. Then the valet swallowed nervously and added, "But Officer Keller already asked for your full name after the upload system flagged something strange." Silence filled the apartment. Elaine looked toward Gloria. Gloria looked toward the bent invitation card resting beside Marcus's academy photograph. Then Elaine's police radio crackled sharply at her hip. "Sergeant Porter, report back to Civic Hall immediately. Chief Bennett is requesting review of an incident involving an elderly female guest." Sergeant Elaine Porter's radio continued crackling in the tiny apartment kitchen while rain tapped harder against the window outside. "Chief Bennett is requesting review of an incident involving an elderly female guest." Elaine slowly lowered the radio from her mouth and looked toward Gloria Bennett across the table. Gloria remained calm. Too calm for someone who had just been humiliated in front of half the city. That calmness itself was beginning to feel strange now. "You already knew he would ask questions," Elaine said quietly. Gloria folded the bent invitation carefully beside the soup bowl before answering. A good leader asks questions before choosing a side. Elaine watched her closely. Most civilians under pressure either begged for help or exploded with anger. Gloria did neither. She moved through humiliation the way some people move through grief. Carefully. Quietly. Like she had survived worse before. Downtown, the Civic Hall lobby looked colder now than it had during the gala. Security guards whispered beside marble pillars while city donors checked their phones nervously. The viral video had already spread across local feeds. Officer Ryan Keller stood near the registration desk replaying bodycam footage again with visible irritation. "Pause it there," one officer beside him said. Ryan frowned. On the frozen frame, Gloria stood near the ballroom entrance moments before he grabbed her. Small frame. Worn coat. But one detail stood out now beneath the bright chandelier light. The silver eagle brooch pinned near her collar. "That pin," the officer muttered. Ryan scoffed immediately. "Old people wear random junk all the time." But he zoomed in anyway. The engraving looked official. Memorial style. Department issue maybe. Tiny clue. Tiny discomfort. Ryan shut the tablet off harder than necessary. None of this matters. Nearby, two event staff whispered near the front desk. "I heard the system locked when they searched her name. Why would a guest trigger a restricted access warning?" Ryan snapped toward them instantly. "Because somebody typed it wrong." Silence. Fear again. Nobody questioned him further. Back inside the apartment, Elaine slowly picked up the old family photograph from the kitchen table. Young Marcus in academy blues beside Gloria and her late husband. Elaine narrowed her eyes slightly. "Your son looks familiar." Gloria took the photograph gently from her hand. "A lot of young officers looked like that once." Another answer that sounded simple but carried weight beneath it. Then Elaine noticed something else sitting partly hidden beneath a stack of unopened bills. A folded police memorial program. 20 years old. Black ribbon across the corner. Lieutenant Harold Bennett. End of watch ceremony. Elaine looked up immediately. Bennett? Gloria reached calmly for the program before Elaine could open it further. Some memories deserve privacy. Silence settled heavily between them. Tiny hope mixed with growing suspicion now. Then Gloria stood slowly and walked toward the hallway closet. She opened a small metal lockbox hidden beneath folded blankets and carefully placed the bent invitation, old photograph, and silver brooch inside together. Elaine noticed the movement immediately. "You protect those items like evidence." Gloria paused for half a second. Some things become evidence when people stop telling the truth. That sentence hit Elaine harder than expected. Downstairs outside the laundromat, headlights suddenly washed across the apartment windows. A police cruiser parked near the curb. Elaine moved toward the blinds cautiously. Ryan Keller stepped out alone. "Damn it," Elaine whispered. Gloria did not look surprised. Ryan climbed the narrow apartment stairs quickly and knocked hard enough to shake the doorframe. "Sergeant Porter," he barked through the wood. "Chief Bennett wants every officer back at the gala now." Elaine opened the door halfway. "Then go back." Ryan's eyes immediately shifted past her shoulder into the apartment. "Searching. Suspicious. You really bringing civilians into departmental business now?" Gloria appeared quietly behind Elaine holding her repaired coat over one arm. Ryan smirked the second he saw her. "You again." "Good evening, officer," Gloria answered calmly. Ryan stepped slightly closer. "Funny thing about your name." Silence. Elaine's posture stiffened instantly. Ryan held up his phone showing a partially loaded department access screen. The last name Bennett glowed faintly beneath an error message before disappearing again. "The system flagged it twice," Ryan said slowly. "Now I want to know why." Gloria's face did not change. But Elaine noticed her fingers tighten slightly around the silver eagle brooch hidden beneath the coat fabric. Ryan noticed too. "What is that pin?" Gloria answered without hesitation. "Something earned by better officers." The hallway went silent. Ryan's jaw tightened immediately. Then his radio crackled again. "Officer Keller, return to Civic Hall immediately. Chief Bennett has requested all involved parties present for review." Ryan stared at Gloria for another long second before stepping backward down the hallway. "Do not leave town," he said coldly. After he disappeared downstairs, Elaine slowly looked toward Gloria again. What exactly is Chief Bennett about to walk into tonight? Before Gloria could answer, the old television near the kitchen flickered suddenly to a live local news feed from the gala lobby. And behind the reporter on screen, security staff were replaying bodycam footage frame by frame. The television screen flickered with shaky bodycam footage while rain streaked down the Civic Hall windows behind the local reporter. Gloria Bennett stood silently beside her apartment table watching herself being dragged across the marble lobby all over again. The humiliation looked even colder on video. Officer Ryan Keller's voice echoed sharply through the speakers. "You do not belong here." Elaine Porter's jaw tightened beside her. Then the footage froze suddenly. "Error, access restricted." The reporter frowned on live television. "We appear to be losing access to the original upload." Gloria lowered her eyes slowly. "Someone is already trying to bury it." Downtown, Ryan stormed into the Civic Hall security office and slammed the tablet onto the desk. "Who locked the footage?" A nervous technician glanced toward the monitor. "I did not lock anything." "Then unlock it. The system says review authorization required from command level." Ryan stared at the flashing warning across the screen. "Command access override pending." His irritation shifted into something sharper now. Fear hiding beneath ego. "You people panic too easily," he muttered. Sergeant Porter entered the room seconds later, still wet from the rain outside. Ryan looked up immediately. "Where is she?" Elaine stayed calm. "At home." "Not for long." Ryan stepped closer. "Chief Bennett wants everyone involved present before the gala ends." Elaine studied him carefully. "You sound nervous." Ryan laughed once. "Forced. Cold. About an old woman running a scam?" Nearby officers pretended not to listen while absolutely listening. One younger dispatcher quietly replayed a still frame from the footage again. Gloria standing near the ballroom entrance before Ryan grabbed her. Calm posture. Direct eye contact. No panic. She asked him to keep the body cam running, the dispatcher murmured quietly. Ryan snapped toward him instantly. "And criminals ask for lawyers every day. What is your point?" Silence swallowed the room. Power always speaks loudest when it feels threatened. Back at the apartment, Gloria slowly buttoned her faded coat again. Elaine watched carefully. "You do not have to go back tonight." Gloria picked up the broken cane beside the wall. "If I do not go back, people will believe he was right." Her voice stayed soft. Steady. The young valet still stood awkwardly near the apartment doorway holding his soaked cap in both hands. "Ma'am. I saved something." He reached into his jacket pocket carefully and handed Elaine a small folded receipt from the gala registration desk. Elaine opened it. Her expression changed instantly. Ryan signed out a duplicate copy of the guest log 20 minutes ago. Gloria's eyes narrowed slightly for the first time all night. Tiny clue. Tiny fracture in Ryan's story. "Why would he need that?" the valet whispered. Gloria answered quietly before Elaine could. "Because he realized too late that he searched the wrong person." Silence hit the room hard after that sentence. Elaine looked directly at Gloria now. Longer than before. Questions growing heavier. Then Gloria reached for her purse again. The old family photograph slipped halfway out as she lifted it. Marcus in academy uniform beside his father. Ryan's gloved hand frozen in the bodycam frame earlier inches from that same photo. Elaine stared carefully at the image. Officer Keller never showed anyone what was inside your purse after dumping it. Gloria slid the photograph back carefully. No, why? Gloria paused. Because fear makes people hide mistakes before truth arrives. Another knock interrupted them suddenly. Harder this time. Two uniformed officers stood outside the apartment building entrance downstairs, visible through the hallway window. Ryan behind them. Waiting. Elaine cursed under her breath. He brought backup now. Ryan's voice echoed upward from below. Gloria Bennett, you are requested back at Civic Hall immediately for formal incident review. Requested sounded polite. His tone did not. Gloria stepped into the hallway slowly with her broken cane and worn coat while neighbors cracked doors open to watch. Whispering started instantly. Phones appeared again. Public judgment travels faster than truth ever does. One older neighbor frowned toward Ryan downstairs. She is 72 years old. Ryan answered loudly enough for everyone to hear. Then she should know better than to interfere with police operations. A few neighbors looked away uncomfortably. Others nodded automatically because a uniform said the words. Gloria descended the stairs carefully, one hand at a time along the rail. Ryan watched her the entire way down. Predatory now. Desperate to regain control before questions spread further. When Gloria reached the lobby, Ryan extended a document toward her. Sign this statement admitting you entered a restricted event under false representation. Elaine immediately stepped between them. You cannot force that. Ryan smirked. I can recommend obstruction charges if she refuses cooperation. Tiny hope crushed again. The valet lowered his eyes. Neighbors backed away. Gloria looked down at the paper without touching it. Then quietly, almost absently, she spoke one sentence that made Elaine stare at her sharply. Department Policy 8-14 prohibits obtaining statements during active intimidation review. Ryan froze for half a second. Just enough to notice. How would you know that? Gloria met his eyes calmly. Because some officers used to remember the law before they learned performance. The apartment lobby fell silent. Ryan snatched the unsigned statement back angrily. Then his radio crackled sharply again. Officer Keller. Chief Bennett is asking why original bodycam footage contains missing timestamps between lobby contact and removal. Ryan's face changed instantly. Small. Fast. But real. Elaine noticed. Gloria noticed. And somewhere deep inside the Civic Hall security system, a locked file labeled Bennett, Gloria remained partially unopened. The apartment lobby smelled faintly of rainwater and old paint while Officer Ryan Keller stood beneath the flickering ceiling light staring at the partially locked apartment file glowing on his phone screen. Bennett, Gloria. Access limited. His jaw tightened harder every second the warning remained there. Gloria Bennett stood 3 feet away holding her broken cane with one hand and her worn leather purse with the other. Calm again. Too calm. Elaine Porter watched both of them carefully now. The silence felt dangerous. Ryan shoved the phone into his pocket aggressively. System glitches happen all the time. Gloria answered softly, truth usually appears the same way. That irritated him instantly. You think you are clever? No, Gloria replied. I think you are nervous. A few neighbors still hovered near cracked apartment doors upstairs pretending not to watch. Phones glowed faintly in dark hallways. Public judgment never fully sleeps. Ryan stepped closer again and pointed toward Gloria's purse. Open it. Elaine immediately cut in. On what grounds? Ryan fired back without looking at her. Interference with active police review. That is not a legal standard, Elaine said sharply. Ryan ignored her completely. Open the purse. Gloria slowly handed it over herself before Elaine could stop her. Not surrender. Choice. Ryan dumped the contents onto the small lobby table beneath the mailboxes. Prescription bottle. Folded gloves. Bent invitation. Old photograph. Then something metallic slid out last. The silver eagle brooch. It spun once beneath the ceiling light before stopping beside the photograph. Silence hit the lobby immediately. Elaine stared hard at the engraving now visible across the back. Harold Bennett, End of Watch Memorial. Ryan picked it up casually at first. Then his expression shifted slightly. Tiny hesitation. Where did you get this? Gloria's eyes stayed on the brooch. It belonged to my husband. Elaine's voice lowered. Lieutenant Harold Bennett? Ryan laughed too quickly. You expect us to believe that? But his confidence had started cracking around the edges now. Elaine reached for the old photograph carefully. This time she turned it over fully. Young Marcus Bennett in academy uniform beside Gloria and Lieutenant Harold Bennett standing in dress blues. Same eagle brooch pinned to Harold's chest. Same family eyes. Elaine stopped breathing for half a second. Ryan noticed immediately and snatched the photograph away before she could speak. Old photos prove nothing. Neither does arrogance, Gloria answered quietly. Upstairs, one elderly neighbor whispered, I think I know who she is. Ryan pointed upward sharply. Everybody stay out of this. Then his radio exploded with static again. Officer Keller, status update requested. Chief Bennett personally asked whether the civilian involved possessed department affiliation. Elaine slowly looked toward Ryan. That wording matters. Ryan ignored her and grabbed the bodycam tablet from one of the backup officers beside the entrance. Fine, he snapped. Let us review everything right now. He reopened the upload file. The lobby footage flickered back onto the screen. Gloria standing beneath the gala chandelier. Ryan grabbing her arm. Guests filming. Then suddenly the video glitched and restored 3 missing seconds previously cut from the file. In those missing seconds, Gloria looked directly at Ryan's body cam and calmly adjusted the eagle brooch on her coat before saying clearly, Your father would be ashamed of this procedure. Silence. Heavy now. Elaine looked sharply toward Gloria. Ryan immediately paused the footage. Coincidence. But his voice sounded thinner. Smaller. A little girl from one of the upstairs apartments suddenly stepped into the hallway beside her mother and looked at Gloria innocently. That lady talks like my principal. Several adults glanced at each other uncomfortably. Small truth from the smallest voice in the room. If that brooch belonged to a fallen lieutenant, and if Gloria knew department procedures better than some officers, what exactly was Ryan trying so hard to hide? Ryan slammed the tablet shut again before anyone could answer. Enough. He pointed toward Gloria. You are coming back to Civic Hall for formal review. Elaine stepped between them immediately. Without counsel. Without proper documentation. I said enough. Ryan signaled the backup officers forward now. Pressure rising again. Authority reclaiming space. The young valet standing near the entrance suddenly looked down at his phone and swallowed hard. He quietly stepped closer to Elaine and showed her the screen beneath Ryan's line of sight. Security archive recovery, additional camera angle available. Elaine's eyes widened slightly. Tiny hope. Then Ryan noticed their reaction instantly. What is that? The valet panicked and locked the phone screen immediately. And nothing. Ryan moved toward him at once. Give me the phone. Fear spread across the lobby again. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Gloria quietly reached for the silver eagle brooch before Ryan could pocket it with the other evidence. Her fingers closed around it gently. Then she said one calm sentence that made even the backup officers hesitate. The problem with deleting truth is that somebody always remembers the original version. The hallway fell completely silent. At that exact moment, Ryan's phone vibrated again with an incoming command notification from Civic Hall Security. Review escalated by Chief Authority. Original footage requested. The apartment hallway stayed silent long after the command notification disappeared from Ryan Keller's phone screen. Review escalated by Chief Authority. Nobody moved at first. Gloria Bennett still held the silver eagle brooch gently in her palm while rainwater dripped from umbrellas near the entrance downstairs. Ryan stared at her now with a different kind of anger. Less confident. More dangerous. "You knew this would happen," he said quietly. Gloria looked tired suddenly. Not weak. Just old in a way that comes from carrying grief for too many years. "No," she answered softly. "I knew eventually somebody would ask the right question." Ryan stepped closer again. "You think some old family trinket changes what happened tonight?" Gloria's fingers closed around the brooch. "That is not a trinket." Silence followed immediately after that sentence. Heavy silence. The kind that pulls old memories to the surface whether people want them or not. Elaine Porter looked toward the engraving again. Lieutenant Harold Bennett. End of Watch Memorial. She had heard that name before. Every officer in the city had. Harold Bennett died protecting civilians during a courthouse shooting nearly 20 years earlier. Department legend. Community hero. Elaine slowly looked back toward Gloria. Same eyes as the academy photo. Same calm posture under pressure. Tiny pieces finally beginning to align. Upstairs, the little girl from apartment 2B leaned over the railing innocently. "My grandpa says good cops do not pull old ladies." Her mother quickly pulled her back inside. Ryan's jaw tightened hard. Everybody suddenly an expert tonight. Gloria lowered herself carefully onto the bottom stair near the lobby wall. The bruise on her wrist had darkened now beneath the hallway light. Elaine noticed. So did the young valet standing nervously beside the door. Gloria slowly opened her purse again and removed a folded memorial program from years ago. The paper edges were worn soft from time. She stared at it quietly before speaking. Marcus was 16 when Harold died. Elaine looked up sharply at the first name mention. Gloria continued anyway. "He stood in our kitchen wearing his father's oversized uniform jacket and promised me he would become the kind of officer people could trust." Ryan folded his arms immediately. "Great story." Gloria ignored him. "I almost begged him not to join." Her voice weakened slightly for the first time all night. Tiny crack in the armor. "I already lost one Bennett to that badge." Silence swallowed the hallway. Even Ryan stopped moving for half a second. Gloria carefully unfolded the memorial program. Inside sat a newspaper clipping. Old photograph. Young Marcus standing beside Police Chief Robert Hayes at Harold Bennett's funeral. Same silver eagle brooch pinned against Gloria's coat in the background. Elaine stared at the image hard now. Her breathing slowed. Tiny clue turning heavier. Then Ryan abruptly grabbed the clipping from Gloria's hands. "Enough. Give it back," Elaine snapped instantly. Ryan ignored her completely. "You think old newspaper photos give you authority?" Gloria looked directly at him. "No. They give me memory." That landed harder than shouting. Ryan crushed the paper slightly in his fist before tossing it back onto the stair beside her. "What they give you is motive." Elaine frowned immediately. "Motive for what?" Ryan pointed toward Gloria. "Manipulating public sympathy. Trespassing. Interfering with department operations. You dragged a 72-year-old woman across marble floors," Elaine shot back. "And now you are scared of paper." Tiny hope flickered again. Then Ryan's phone buzzed sharply in his hand. He checked the message. His expression changed instantly. Fear now visible beneath authority. What? Elaine demanded. Ryan locked the screen too fast. Nothing. But the young valet caught a glimpse before the screen darkened. Original security camera recovered. Audio partial. Ryan noticed the valet noticing. Bad mistake. He stepped toward the boy slowly. You need to stop inserting yourself into police matters. The valet swallowed hard but stood his ground this time. I saw what happened. And you saw nothing else. Threat. Quiet. Clear. Gloria watched the exchange silently. Then she reached down beside the stair and picked up the bent newspaper clipping again. Her eyes stopped suddenly on one small detail in the funeral photograph. Chief Robert Hayes placing a hand on teenage Marcus Bennett's shoulder beside Gloria. Same gesture. Same angle. Same exact posture Chief Marcus Bennett still used today during public ceremonies. Family habits survive grief longer than names do. Elaine noticed Gloria staring at the image. What is it? Before Gloria could answer, her phone rang sharply inside her purse. The hallway froze again. Gloria looked down at the caller ID without moving. Marcus. Ryan saw the name flash across the screen for half a second before Gloria turned it away. His face lost color instantly. Nobody spoke. Then over Ryan's police radio came a tense voice from Civic Hall Security. Officer Keller, Chief Bennett is requesting immediate clarification regarding civilian Gloria Bennett's relationship to former Lieutenant Harold Bennett. The apartment lobby felt smaller now that everyone knew something important was being hidden there. Officer Ryan Keller slowly lowered his radio after hearing Chief Bennett's request for clarification about Gloria Bennett and former Lieutenant Harold Bennett. For one dangerous second, uncertainty crossed his face. Then training returned. Ego returned. Control returned. Everybody upstairs. Now, Ryan barked sharply at the gathering neighbors. This hallway is an active police matter. Doors closed almost instantly. Fear obeyed uniforms faster than truth ever could. Gloria Bennett still stood near the stair rail holding her silver eagle brooch while Elaine Porter watched Ryan carefully. The young valet stayed frozen beside the entrance clutching his phone inside his jacket pocket like evidence that could get him hurt. Ryan pointed directly at Gloria. You should have explained yourself from the beginning. Gloria answered calmly, you never asked who I was. You decided. Ryan smirked coldly. Because people trying to sneak into police events usually have something to hide. Or someone humiliating them does. Elaine's voice cut through the hallway sharply. Ryan ignored her and stepped toward Gloria again. You know what I think? I think you saw a public event honoring the chief and decided attaching yourself to a dead officer's name might get attention. Silence exploded through the hallway. Cruel accusation. Public enough to wound. Gloria's face did not change, but her fingers tightened around the broken cane. Careful, Elaine warned quietly. Ryan laughed once. Why? Everybody suddenly terrified of hurting her feelings. He turned toward the backup officers near the door. Escort her back downtown. Formal review starts now. The officers hesitated slightly. Tiny crack. Tiny doubt. Ryan noticed immediately and raised his voice harder. That is an order. Authority pressed down again. The valet suddenly spoke up from near the wall. Sir, the recovered security footage, Ryan snapped toward him instantly. You are not an officer. But you saw confusion. Nothing else. The boy fell silent again. Hope crushed publicly. Gloria slowly lifted her eyes toward Ryan. Young men who fear the truth usually raise their voices first. Ryan stepped dangerously close now. And old women playing victim usually learn consequences late. Elaine moved between them immediately. Enough. Ryan pulled a folded incident report from his jacket. Actually, we are just getting started. He shoved the document onto the hallway table beside Gloria's purse. Trespassing review. Disturbance report. Sign it, he ordered. Gloria looked down calmly at the paperwork. Then at the body cam blinking on Ryan's chest. Your footage will disagree with those statements. Ryan smiled this time. Worse than anger. Only if the full footage survives. Silence. Real silence now. Even Elaine froze slightly at those words. Tiny confession hidden inside arrogance. Ryan realized too late what he implied and quickly grabbed the papers back. You are twisting my meaning. Gloria answered softly, truth does not need twisting. Downstairs outside the apartment building, more police vehicles arrived. Red and blue lights flashed across wet pavement and hallway walls. Neighbors peered through curtains again. Phones recording from dark windows now. Public pressure growing larger by the minute. Ryan suddenly received another dispatch notification. He checked it quickly. His confidence returned almost instantly afterward. False victory settling in. Chief Bennett reviewed the preliminary report, he announced loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. And he wants the civilian brought back immediately. Elaine narrowed her eyes. Preliminary report written by who? Ryan ignored her completely. Looks like your little sympathy tour is over. Gloria stood quietly while backup officers moved closer around her. Small. Elderly. Outnumbered beneath flashing police lights. To outsiders watching from windows above, it looked exactly like guilt. Ryan turned toward the valet one final time. Delete whatever is on your phone before Internal Affairs decides you interfered with an active investigation. The boy's face drained of color instantly. Another witness pushed into silence. Gloria noticed. Do not punish him for your choices, she said quietly. Ryan smirked again. Nobody forced you into this building tonight. No, Gloria replied. But someone forced me across a marble floor. The hallway went silent again. Even the backup officers avoided eye contact after that sentence. Tiny hope flickered one last time when Elaine's own department tablet suddenly beeped in her hand. Security archive partial recovery complete. Frame 442 restored. Ryan immediately reached for the tablet. Give me that. Elaine pulled it back first. The restored image loaded halfway before freezing. Gloria standing beneath the gala chandelier. Ryan gripping her arm. And behind Gloria, reflected faintly in the ballroom mirror, stood Chief Marcus Bennett staring directly toward the confrontation from across the lobby entrance. Ryan's face changed instantly. Fear again. Sharp this time. But before anyone could speak, dispatch crackled loudly through every radio in the hallway. All involved parties report to Civic Hall main stage immediately. Chief Bennett wants this handled publicly. The Civic Hall main stage looked colder now than it had during the charity gala an hour earlier. The orchestra had stopped playing. Champagne tables stood half-abandoned beneath bright white security lights while city officials, donors, reporters, and uniformed officers crowded around the stage in restless silence. Phones glowed everywhere. Cameras waited. Gloria Bennett stood near the front row beside Sergeant Elaine Porter, her broken cane trembling slightly against the polished floor. Across from her, Officer Ryan Keller looked completely different now. More composed. More dangerous. He had regained the advantage of public authority. And he knew it. Bring her forward, Ryan ordered sharply to the two backup officers. Several guests stepped backward automatically as Gloria was escorted toward the center aisle like a suspect instead of an elderly civilian. Whispers followed her movement immediately. That is the woman from the video. I heard she faked credentials. She threatened officers. Public judgment spreads fastest when people feel protected by crowds. Gloria kept her head high anyway. Her worn navy coat looked painfully small beneath the massive stage lights and department banners hanging overhead. Chief Marcus Bennett was still nowhere visible. Ryan climbed the stage steps holding a department tablet in one hand and the folded trespassing report in the other. Before Chief Bennett arrives, he announced loudly, "This department will establish facts." The room quieted instantly. Power always sounds official when spoken into microphones. Ryan pointed toward Gloria without hesitation. This woman entered a restricted law enforcement event without authorization. Murmurs spread through the ballroom. She refused lawful removal. She interfered with active officers. And she attempted to manipulate department personnel using fabricated personal claims. Elaine stepped forward immediately. "That is not what happened." Ryan cut her off hard. "Sergeant Porter, unless you want your own conduct reviewed, stay silent." Silence swallowed the room again. Gloria watched the crowd carefully now. Some looked ashamed. Others looked relieved. Somebody in uniform sounded certain again. Ryan held up the old memorial clipping from Gloria's purse between two fingers. "Anybody can print a newspaper photo." Humiliation burned hotter now because it happened under bright lights in front of cameras. Ryan turned toward Gloria directly. "You had multiple opportunities tonight to identify yourself properly." Gloria answered quietly, "You never wanted identification. You wanted obedience." A few people in the crowd lowered their phones after hearing that. Tiny crack. Tiny hesitation. Ryan immediately pushed harder. "Enough speeches." He activated the stage monitor behind him. Gloria's bodycam footage appeared on the giant ballroom screen again. Guests gasped softly watching the elderly woman dragged across marble floors under the giant projection lights. Ryan paused the footage carefully before the restored missing seconds could appear. "Notice her resistance," he said loudly. "Notice her aggressive posture." Elaine stared in disbelief. "Aggressive?" Ryan ignored her. "Notice officers maintaining restraint despite provocation." Tiny hope died again beneath confident lies. Then the ballroom monitor flickered unexpectedly. Frame recovery in progress. Ryan's face tightened instantly. He moved quickly to shut the system window down. Too quickly. Several people noticed. Including the reporters near the stage. "Why are frames missing?" one journalist asked loudly. Ryan answered immediately. "Technical corruption." "Or editing," Elaine said coldly. The crowd stirred again. Ryan raised his voice harder. "This department will not allow emotional manipulation to override procedure." Gloria slowly reached into her coat pocket and touched the silver eagle brooch hidden there beneath the fabric. Her late husband's memorial pin. Tiny strength. Tiny memory. Ryan noticed the movement instantly. "There it is again." He pointed directly at her chest. "That pin. That fake connection you keep pushing." Gloria finally looked directly at him under the full stage lights. "Some connections survive longer than your career." Silence. Real silence this time. Even several officers near the back exchanged looks after that sentence. Tiny hope flickered again when the ballroom screen suddenly restored one additional frame automatically before Ryan could stop it. Gloria adjusting the silver eagle brooch. Ryan gripping her arm. And behind them in the ballroom reflection stood Chief Marcus Bennett near the entrance staring directly toward the confrontation. The room reacted instantly. Heads turning. Reporters whispering. New suspicion rising. Ryan slammed the monitor dark immediately. "Enough." He pointed toward Gloria again. "Escort her out now." The backup officers hesitated this time. Publicly. Dangerous hesitation. Ryan's voice sharpened. "That is an order." Gloria lowered her eyes briefly. "Tired now?" Wounded. But still standing. One reporter near the aisle suddenly called out, "Ma'am, how do you know Chief Bennett?" Ryan spun toward the reporter furiously. No more questions. Then he grabbed the unsigned trespassing report and shoved it toward Gloria one last time. "Sign it now or leave in cuffs." The ballroom froze completely. Phones lifted higher. Elaine stepped forward again, but another captain blocked her path quietly. False victory settling over the room. Ryan believed he had regained control. Gloria looked down at the paper without touching it. Then the giant ballroom doors behind the crowd opened heavily with a deep metallic sound that echoed across the hall. Every officer instinctively straightened. Every whisper stopped. And from somewhere behind the crowd, a calm male voice cut through the silence with one word. "Stop." The ballroom doors remained open behind Chief Marcus Bennett as cold night air drifted into the silent civic hall. Every officer near the entrance straightened instantly. Reporters lowered microphones halfway. Guests stopped whispering mid-sentence. Even the giant projector hum suddenly sounded louder inside the silence. Marcus Bennett walked slowly down the center aisle wearing his formal police dress uniform, silver stars reflecting sharply beneath the chandelier lights. His face looked calm. Too calm. That frightened Ryan Keller more than anger would have. Gloria Bennett still stood at the center of the stage area holding the unsigned trespassing report while two backup officers remained frozen beside her. Ryan forced confidence back into his voice. "Chief, this situation is already under control." Marcus did not answer immediately. He looked first at Gloria's broken cane. Then at the bruise darkening slowly near her wrist. Then at the paused ballroom monitor above the stage. Tiny details. Dangerous details. "Control," Marcus repeated quietly. The single word landed heavier than shouting. Ryan stepped down from the stage quickly. "Sir, this civilian interrupted a restricted event and resisted removal." Gloria lowered her eyes briefly. She still said nothing. Marcus finally looked directly at her. Not as a chief looking at a stranger. Something deeper flickered there for one dangerous second before he buried it again beneath professional restraint. The crowd noticed anyway. Silence spread wider across the ballroom. Elaine Porter stepped closer holding the partially recovered footage tablet tightly against her chest. "Sir," she said carefully, "the restored frames show missing context." Ryan cut in immediately. "Corrupted footage. Then why did you shut the monitor off?" Elaine fired back. Several officers looked away instantly. Ryan's jaw tightened. "Because this department does not conduct investigations through emotional theater." Marcus slowly climbed the stage steps without taking his eyes off the dark projector screen. "Then we will conduct it through procedure." Tiny hope moved through the room. Reporters exchanged glances. Phones rose again. Ryan quickly moved toward the projector controls. "Sir, the footage is incomplete." Marcus answered coldly, "So is your report." Emotional spike. Sharp silence. Gloria remained still beneath the stage lights while people around her began noticing small things they ignored before. The old silver eagle brooch. The trembling hand protecting it. The memorial clipping Ryan called fake now folded carefully beside her purse. A retired officer near the back whispered softly, "That pin belonged to Harold Bennett." Another officer looked toward Gloria again. Longer this time. The ballroom monitor suddenly flickered back on by itself. "System restore, archive frame recovery 92%. Ryan immediately reached for the power switch. Marcus stopped him with one sentence. "Do not touch that screen." Ryan froze. Tiny crack becoming visible now. The recovered footage began loading frame by frame. Gloria standing quietly beneath the gala chandelier. Ryan grabbing her arm first. Guests turning away instead of helping. Then one frozen frame appeared clearer than the others. Chief Marcus Bennett entering the ballroom in the background reflection at the exact moment Gloria was dragged across the marble floor. The room reacted instantly. Silence turning into shock. He saw it. He was there. Why did nobody stop it? Ryan spoke too fast now. Sir, the angle is misleading. Marcus turned slowly toward him. Is the bruise misleading too? Nobody moved. Nobody breathed loudly anymore. Gloria finally spoke softly. People only become invisible when crowds decide they are. Several guests lowered their phones after hearing that. One older donor quietly sat down as if suddenly ashamed to remain standing. If you were standing in that ballroom, who do you think would panic first when the full truth finally surfaced? Ryan suddenly pointed toward Gloria again with desperation creeping into his voice now. She still has not identified herself properly. Marcus looked at Gloria for a long moment. Pain crossed his face briefly before discipline buried it again. Maybe, he said quietly, because nobody here treated her like a human being long enough to ask. The room fell even quieter. Tiny Hope rose again when the valet from the apartment building stepped nervously through the ballroom entrance holding his phone with shaking hands. Sir, he whispered toward Marcus, I kept the original recording. Ryan spun around instantly. That footage is unauthorized. It is evidence, Elaine snapped back. Ryan moved toward the boy quickly now. Give me the phone. Marcus raised one hand sharply. Everything stopped. Nobody touches that device. Ryan's breathing changed now. Faster. Uneven. Fear finally visible. But he still made one last desperate attempt to regain control. Chief, with respect, this woman manipulated the entire department tonight. Gloria looked directly at him for the first time since the ballroom confrontation began. No, she said softly. Your choices did that. Silence again. Heavy now. Permanent feeling. Marcus slowly took the phone from the trembling valet and handed it to the city technician beside the projector system. The technician connected the device carefully to the ballroom monitor while dozens of people stared upward waiting. Ryan looked pale beneath the chandelier lights now. The restored system loaded one final authorization request across the giant screen. Access record owner, Bennett, G. The remaining letters stayed hidden beneath a blinking verification bar. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Marcus finally picked up the microphone from the podium and looked across the frozen ballroom. Before any of you judge further, he said quietly, watch this. The ballroom monitor flickered once. Twice. Then the recovered footage finally began to play in full. Nobody moved. Nobody even whispered now. The giant screen showed Gloria Bennett standing quietly near the gala entrance beneath the chandelier while guests passed her without attention. Then Ryan Keller approached her first. Not the other way around. Clear. Undeniable. You cannot stand here, Video Ryan snapped aggressively. Gloria answered calmly on screen, I am waiting for someone. People like you always are. Gasps moved softly through the ballroom. Ryan's face drained slowly of color beneath the stage lights. The footage continued. Gloria reaching carefully into her purse. Ryan grabbing her arm before she could remove the memorial invitation card. The silver eagle brooch falling briefly against her coat. Then the most dangerous frame appeared. Chief Marcus Bennett entering the ballroom doors in the background reflection and stopping cold the instant he saw Gloria being dragged across the marble floor. Silence crashed over the civic hall completely. Phones lowered. Reporters stopped typing. Officers stared at the screen without blinking. Ryan stepped forward desperately. That footage does not show context. It shows enough, Marcus said quietly. His voice cut sharper now. The footage paused automatically on Gloria's face beneath the chandelier. The system beside the ballroom monitor suddenly completed the final verification line. Access record owner, Bennett, Gloria and family clearance verified. Several officers inhaled sharply at the same time. Elaine Porter slowly closed her eyes for 1 second as realization hit fully. Gloria and Bennett. Not random. Not fake. Ryan shook his head immediately. That still proves nothing. Marcus finally turned toward the crowd and spoke into the microphone. Gloria and Bennett is the widow of former Lieutenant Harold Bennett. Emotional spike. Murmurs exploded instantly through the ballroom. The memorial clipping. The silver eagle brooch. The old department records. Every clue suddenly connected. Marcus continued without raising his voice. Harold Bennett served this department for 31 years. He looked directly at Ryan now. And Gloria Bennett is my mother. The room went dead silent. Absolute silence. One champagne glass slipped from somebody's hand near the back and shattered softly against marble, but nobody looked away from the stage. Ryan's mouth opened slightly. No sound came out. Several officers lowered their heads immediately in visible shame. The valet near the doorway exhaled hard like he had been holding his breath for an hour. Elaine stared at Gloria differently now. Not pity. Respect. Real respect. Ryan finally found his voice again. Chief. I did not know. Gloria answered before Marcus could speak. You knew enough to treat me with dignity. Another silence hit harder than the first. Ryan looked around desperately at the crowd now searching for support that no longer existed. She never identified herself properly. Marcus reached into his uniform jacket slowly and removed the official gala invitation recovered from Gloria's purse earlier. The camera zoomed automatically on the ballroom monitor overhead. Honored family guest, Gloria Bennett. Personal invitation authorized by Chief Marcus Bennett. The audience reacted immediately. Shock spreading in visible waves now. Ryan stepped backward once. Tiny movement. Huge collapse. That invitation could have been misplaced, he muttered weakly. Elaine spoke sharply this time. And the body cam footage? Another officer added quietly, and the deleted frames? Ryan turned toward the projector technician. The footage was corrupted. No, the technician answered nervously. It was manually interrupted. The ballroom erupted into stunned whispers again. Marcus slowly faced Ryan now. Did you alter official evidence? Ryan's breathing became uneven instantly. I was protecting the department. From what? Marcus asked coldly. An elderly woman holding a memorial invitation. Gloria finally stepped forward slightly beneath the stage lights. Her hand still rested on the silver eagle brooch. Fear makes cruel people feel powerful, she said softly. Especially when crowds stay silent. Nobody in the ballroom could look away from her now. Not the reporters. Not the officers. Not even the guests who laughed earlier. Dignity had returned without her ever begging for it. Then the final recovered footage loaded automatically on the giant monitor. Ryan standing near the ballroom security desk after the confrontation. His voice clear through restored audio. Delete the hallway segment before the chief reviews it. The room exploded into horrified silence again. Full confirmation. Full collapse. Ryan turned pale beneath the chandeliers. Marcus did not raise his voice this time. He did not need to. Officer Keller, he said quietly, look at me. Ryan slowly obeyed. Marcus held his gaze for several unbearable seconds before asking the question that froze the entire ballroom again. Did you drag my mother across that floor knowing exactly who she was? The ballroom remained frozen after Chief Marcus Bennett's question landed across the civic hall. Did you drag my mother across that floor knowing exactly who she was? Ryan Keller could not answer immediately. Sweat glistened near his collar beneath the bright chandelier lights. Every camera in the room pointed directly at him now. Every officer waited. Every whisper had died. Ryan finally swallowed hard. "Sir. I was following security procedure." Nobody reacted. Not even the officers standing beside him. Marcus stepped down slowly from the stage until he stood only a few feet away from Ryan. "Procedure," he repeated quietly. He held up Gloria's crushed invitation card for the entire ballroom to see. "Authorized guest." Then he pointed toward the paused bodycam frame on the ballroom monitor. "Elderly civilian." Then toward Gloria's bruised wrist. "Use of force." Emotional spike hit the room like a physical weight. Ryan tried again. "I did not know she was your mother." Gloria answered softly before Marcus could speak. "And if I was nobody's mother?" Silence. Brutal silence. Several guests lowered their heads immediately. One city donor quietly stepped away from the cameras altogether. Ryan's voice weakened now. "I made a mistake." Elaine Porter stepped forward sharply. "Deleting evidence is not a mistake." Another officer added quietly from the crowd, "Threatening witnesses is not a mistake either." Ryan looked around desperately. No allies left. No crowd hiding behind him anymore. Marcus removed a folded disciplinary form from inside his jacket slowly and handed it to Internal Affairs Captain Reeves near the stage. "Officer Ryan Keller," Marcus announced into the microphone, "effective immediately, you are suspended pending criminal and departmental investigation for evidence tampering, misconduct, and abuse of authority." The room reacted instantly. Gasps. Reporters moving fast again. Officers exchanging stunned looks. Ryan's face collapsed completely now. "Sir, please," Marcus did not raise his voice. "Turn in your badge." Emotional spike. Public consequence. Ryan hesitated for one painful second before slowly unclipping his police badge from his uniform. The tiny metallic sound echoed louder than it should have when Captain Reeves took it from his hand. Status reversal complete. Earlier that night, Ryan used that badge like a weapon. Now it sat powerless inside another officer's palm. Gloria watched quietly. No smile. No triumph. Only tired sadness. Ryan looked toward her desperately. "Mrs. Bennet." "I never meant," Gloria interrupted softly. "You meant every second until witnesses appeared." Another silence swept the ballroom. Nobody defended him now. The valet near the doorway finally exhaled fully and lowered his shaking phone. Elaine placed a steady hand on the young man's shoulder protectively. Marcus turned toward the ballroom crowd next. "This department failed tonight," he said calmly. "Not because one officer acted cruelly. Because too many people watched and decided silence was safer." The words landed hard across the room. Several officers looked down immediately. Guests who recorded earlier slowly lowered their phones in visible shame. One older woman near the front wiped tears quietly from her eyes. The projector monitor behind the stage displayed the final restored archive file automatically now. Case status updated, Gloria and Bennett, cleared. Official apology required. System correction. Public correction. Dignity restored in writing. Captain Reeves approached Gloria carefully holding her silver eagle brooch that had fallen earlier during the confrontation. He handed it back with both hands. Respectfully. "Mrs. Bennet," he said quietly, "I am sorry." Gloria accepted the pin gently. Her fingers trembled slightly around it. Not from fear anymore. From memory. Marcus finally looked at his mother fully now. Not as Chief Bennet. As a son carrying guilt for arriving too late. "Mom," his voice cracked slightly for the first time all night. Gloria touched his arm softly before he could continue. "You came." Emotional payoff flooded the room instantly. The crowd that once watched her humiliation now stood in complete silence watching her dignity return piece by piece. Marcus turned back toward Internal Affairs. Every officer involved in suppressing footage will be reviewed before morning. Yes, Chief, Captain Reeves answered immediately. Then Marcus faced the ballroom guests one final time. No citizen should need family connections to be treated with humanity. Nobody argued. Nobody even moved. Gloria slowly adjusted Harold Bennett's silver eagle brooch back onto her coat where it belonged. The same pin mocked earlier now gleamed beneath the chandelier lights like something sacred. Then Marcus quietly offered his arm to her in front of the entire civic hall. "Come with me," he said softly. Gloria looked across the room one last time at the people who ignored her pain hours earlier. Some could not meet her eyes now. Others finally did. Different this time. Respect instead of judgment. She placed her hand gently on her son's arm and took one slow step forward toward the open hallway beyond the ballroom doors while dozens of silent people watched her pass. Morning sunlight spilled softly across the front steps of Civic Hall where reporters once crowded for scandal the night before. Now the cameras stayed lower. Quieter. Respectful. Gloria Bennett stepped slowly through the open doors beside Marcus Bennett while city workers removed the gala banners overhead. The same marble entrance where she had been dragged across the floor now felt different beneath her shoes. Lighter somehow. Sergeant Elaine Porter walked beside her carrying a small velvet box carefully in both hands. Inside rested Ryan Keller's surrendered badge sealed as evidence beside Gloria's restored silver eagle brooch. Elaine stopped near the stairs and offered only the brooch back. "This belongs with honor," she said softly. Gloria pinned it carefully onto her coat again. This time nobody laughed. Nearby officers standing guard lowered their heads respectfully as she passed. Emotional payoff settled quietly across the steps. Marcus looked exhausted now that the cameras had faded and the adrenaline was gone. "Internal Affairs opened full hearings before sunrise," he said quietly. "Bodycam policy changes begin next week." Gloria nodded once. "Then maybe somebody else will not have to survive what I did." No bitterness. No revenge. Only truth. Down near the sidewalk, the young valet from the apartment building stood nervously holding a paper cup of coffee. He almost stepped away when Gloria noticed him. "You kept the recording," she said gently. "Most people would not." The young man lowered his eyes. "I almost deleted it." Gloria smiled softly. "But you did not." Tiny dignity restored for someone else now too. Marcus reached into his coat pocket and handed the valet a folded city recommendation letter signed personally by the chief's office. "Courage matters," he said simply. The boy's hands shook harder than they had during the confrontation. Across the street, several community members gathered quietly around a temporary memorial display honoring retired officers. Harold Bennett's photograph now stood at the center beside fresh flowers and the same silver eagle emblem Gloria carried. One elderly black woman near the display looked toward Gloria with tears in her eyes. "I saw the video," she whispered. "I am sorry nobody helped sooner." Gloria touched the woman's hand gently. "You are helping now." Nearby, a young rookie officer approached Marcus nervously. "Sir," he said quietly, "some residents want to file complaints about past treatment too." Marcus looked toward Gloria first before answering. She gave the smallest nod. "Open every file," Marcus said firmly. No complaint disappears anymore. Another emotional payoff. Another system changing because one woman refused to lose her dignity. Elaine Porter stepped closer holding an official department folder now stamped Policy Review Committee. "The board voted this morning," she said carefully. "They want Mrs. Bennett to help advise community training for elderly civilian interactions." Gloria looked genuinely surprised for the first time in the entire story. "Me?" Elaine smiled softly. People listen differently after truth embarrasses them. A small laugh escaped Gloria then. Quiet. Tired. Human. The kind of laugh that comes only after surviving humiliation without letting it poison your heart. Down the hall inside Civic Center, workers removed Ryan Keller's framed commendation photo from the department recognition wall. Nobody celebrated it. Nobody mocked him either. Consequence had already spoken loudly enough. Gloria noticed a frightened janitor nearby accidentally drop a cleaning bucket when two officers walked past. Instinctively, the man apologized over and over before anyone even accused him of anything. Gloria stepped toward him gently and helped lift the fallen mop handle herself. "Take your time," she told him warmly. "You belong here too." The janitor stared at her in stunned silence before slowly smiling back. Full human circle complete. Marcus watched his mother carefully, then looked out across the bright city street beyond Civic Hall. "Dad would have been proud of you," he said quietly. Gloria adjusted Harold Bennett's silver eagle brooch one last time beneath the morning sunlight. "Your father believed uniforms should protect dignity," she answered softly. "Not replace it." The city around them kept moving. Cars passing. Officers changing shifts. Workers carrying coffee into buildings. Ordinary life continuing again. But something inside that building had changed forever. As Gloria Bennett walked down the Civic Hall steps with her head high and sunlight warming the silver eagle on her coat, the same crowd that once watched her humiliation now stepped aside silently to let her pass with the respect she deserved all along. And somewhere behind her, kindness had finally become louder than fear.